Okay, guys, so we're back with the Rogers section, and this is part two. So there's just one slide left in this. Again, this is chapter 6. So attributes of innovation, these are the rest of the case studies and how they line up with the different attributes. So under complexity, home computers and web TV, and we should also include the Nintendo system here. Because the book talks a lot about the difference between how Nintendo rolled out and the fact that it actually is a home computer, but they hid the keyboard and they hid the mouse, and they made the system very easy to interact with, where the disc just goes in and it just plays the game, and you've got the hand, the hand devices to play the game with. And it really improved people's comfort level with home computers, and you saw a associated diffusion of computers that followed because they just became more more comfortable with it. But obviously Nintendo spent a lot of time thinking about how that diffusion could roll out by getting the kids used to it in arcades and places like that, where they got kind of hooked on the game. And then the boys would ask for the toy for Christmas or their birthday or whatever. And then it was the razors and the blades scenario, where the game console itself was less money, where the games, the console was like $100 and then each game was like $60. So obviously the games are going to be, as they buy more and more, and my son is a huge gamer, so I can tell you buy more and more, you end up spending a ton of money. If the game console itself were super expensive, people might be resistant to that innovation. And, this way you're just spending, another $60, $70 or whatever for the game. So it really is a brilliant way to roll out things like that. But we can't underestimate the complexity of new tools in the marketplace. Trialability, so free samples, pilot tests, beta releases. And we've talked a lot about trialability with regard to cloud computing, where it has a huge advantage in being able to give people a fully working system that they can start to integrate into their business and get used to. So that level of trialability is just huge and really provides some additional benefits and the ability for that diffusion to occur quicker. And observability, one of the big ones was the Nokia cell phones that you saw. It became a status symbol, and people just wanted it. You had the fake cell phones where it didn't even work and they're walking around. So obviously for people like us, this is one of those things where, cell phones are just something that all of us have. When this, even probably the last version of this, when it was written, there wasn't, a huge proliferation of cell phones, and, that's not a problem now. We see even with, you can kind of compare as new cell phones come out, the issues associated with compatibility and complexity and trialability and observability are less so, because we are used to having this piece of technology in our hands. And even if it's a little bit different or whatever, you're still going to use it to make calls, to have our apps on it. We've got our email on it now, and our calendars and things like that, and nobody can really do without it. So a lot of these issues become less and less so because our technology is so ubiquitous and rampant that, even new things are things that we're willing to work with, because we just know that there's going to be some advantage to, to this new system. So, but I think we are starting to see, even, especially I would say even in like my generation, that whole idea of relative advantages is important, because as we move from cell phone to cell phone, these are expensive devices. And if I, personally, I look at it and I say, okay, is this that much better than the one I have now? I mean, what am I going to be able to do myself that's different? The kids are different, of course. They want the newest thing, for one reason or another, it's going to be better, and that relative advantage is easier for them to see. Of course, they're not paying the bill, that's why. But we really, in order to justify these additional expenses and things like that, they really are going to have to figure out how to make that relative advantage better. So that's it for this, and this is the end of Module 8. Thanks, guys.